If you're in the market for a new pressure washer gun and you're wondering if these fancy high-end ones are worth the extra money, we're going to break down all the details in this video, and I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know before you spend your money. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got another price versus price. We're going to be comparing two pressure washer wands. We're going to be comparing the low-end Ryobi one that comes with the 1800 psi electric unit to the upgraded MTM SGS 28 model swivel guns. So if you guys are interested in upgrading your equipment, you can watch this, gather some information, determine if the price is right and if it's worth it, if that's the right decision for you. So we're going to head over to the table, compare them in detail, and we're going to get right into it. Okay, so here are the two wands. We got the Ryobi one there at the top, and we've got the MTM SGS 28 swivel gun with the 20-inch lance. It is a bent lance. It does not come with the 40-degree nozzle. This is my own nozzle. I just have it here for demonstration purposes. Of course, when you buy it on the Clean Garage website, they'll ask you if you actually want to add a pack of nozzles, which is nice. But it just comes with the gun and then the 20-inch lance. This is the Ryobi one that came with my 1800 psi electric pressure washer unit. I've been running this one for quite some time, and it was time for an upgrade. So I figured I'd make a video for all those that are considering an upgrade. That way you can determine if it's worth the money before you go ahead and buy it. So I could not find this exact pressure washer one online for the 1800 psi unit. They have I believe a 36 or a 3300 psi unit that's pretty similar, and that one I think is 45 bucks. I've seen some similar ones that claim to be OEM online that are anywhere from 25 to 45 bucks. So that is your price range for the Ryobi unit. Of course, when you're buying an electric pressure washer, or really any type of pressure washer, unless you're buying one super high-end, and even some of the high-end ones, you're not going to get a very high quality kit of accessories. Usually you don't get the highest quality wand, you don't get the highest quality hoses. When you buy a pressure washer, you're really buying it for the unit itself, which is why for me it was time to upgrade. But you can see the differences here between the two. Again, this MTM SGS 28 has this swivel on it. It is a swivel gun, so it does have the swivel quick connect, and it comes with the coupler here and this quick connect already attached, so you don't have to worry about attaching those. So if you just have quick connect couplers and all that attached to your hose, and your setup's good to go, easy, super easy, just pop it on there and you're good to go. And the swivel is really nice. I find that obviously that helps to not tangle up the hose. The swivel, I will say, is a little bit tighter on the rotation than I expected it to be. It does take a little bit of force. Now when it's under load, it moves a little bit easier, so when there's water flowing through it and you're using it, it's not really going to feel tight at all. It works fine, just is a little bit tighter than I imagined it would be, but that's no big deal. It still works fine. The quality of each, I mean, you can see the difference is night and day. And listen to this, when I pull the trigger, granted this one right here has been used for about a year, this one's almost brand new, so keep that in mind. This one only has one use under its belt, and this one's got, I don't know, probably over 100 at this point. But you can hear when I pull the trigger, and I'll tell you right now, it takes a lot more strength to pull this trigger. Again, this is heavily used, so keep that in mind. But speaking from experience, it's really not that much different than when I bought it. It just is a little bit noisier. But in terms of the strength and the smoothness on the pull there, this one, the MTM, I mean, hopefully you guys can tell on camera, it is much smoother, just, I mean, much easier to pull than this one is. Trigger is much better, much higher quality. It's got this little stop here, so you pull it to the exact right position. Obviously, both of them have the lock on it if you need to use that, so you don't accidentally pull the trigger. But, I mean, the trigger pull on the MTM is much smoother and much easier, even when it's under load. When I was using it myself, much easier trigger pull on the MTM, and it just seems to be higher quality overall. Obviously, usually with this stuff, you get what you pay for. But you can take a look at the lance here. We've got our standard quick connect, so that'll go run into your coupler here, and you can use the short gun by itself. You just put your 40-degree nozzle, that's the size that I use, that's what I recommend. You can put your nozzle directly in here, or you can attach your foam cannon directly to here, and you can use it like that. Or you can attach the lance to this, and then you can put your nozzle in the coupler at the end here. So again, this is a 20-inch lance, and what's nice about it, it has that bend in it. So this is a bent lance, so it's really good for the top of vehicles and around the wheel wells and things like that. And of course, when this is in the unit, you can swivel it around, you can kind of bend it around, twist it around as you need. So if you want a right angle or a left angle or an up or down, you can twist it around as you need. And that, compared with the swivel on the swivel gun, makes for super easy ease of use. So very easy to use, very, very smooth unit. I liked it a lot when I used it. Now, I don't really see a need in me demonstrating the performance of each in this video, because when you talk about performance of wands, you're really talking about performance of the pressure washer itself, your gallons per minute, as well as your PSI. So you're really going to get the same performance, at least on camera, as far as you can tell. It'll be the same stream, the same type of performance from both. This one, the MTM, does feel a little bit smoother to use. What's nice about it is you can attach the foam cannon directly to this again, which is nice. It's not really all that heavy. Now, when you buy it, you're gonna notice that it is obviously heavier than the Ryobi unit. The Ryobi unit is mostly plastic, and there is metal inside there. You probably won't be able to see on camera, but I'm pretty sure there's metal inside the lance, and obviously there are metal components within the actual gun itself. Obviously, the elephant in the room is that you can use a short gun by itself. You don't need the lance with the MTM unit, whereas with this one, you cannot use the gun by itself. You cannot use this as it is right here. You have to attach this lance before you can even put anything onto the coupler there. Now, the difference is couplers on the MTM, I believe, are stainless steel, and the one on the Ryobi is brass. Both are very anti-corrosive. I think brass might be a little bit more anti-corrosive, so I'm not too sure how I feel about the stainless steel connects, but it seems to be fine. I'm sure there won't be any issues with that at all. That's very minor. But again, you can't use this gun just like this. You have to actually attach this. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to set the camera down, and I'm going to attach this just so you guys can kind of see what it looks like all together. I'll go ahead and attach this one as well. But when you attach this, there's basically two little rivets there that you have to line up with the inside of the gun, and then you kind of just twist it on. You stick it in there and then you twist it, and that's how it locks into place. So, and then obviously with this one, it's just coupler quick connect. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to connect them, and I'm going to show you guys what they look like all connected together. Alright, so I have both units connected to the lance. Again, this is the only way that you can use the Ryobi one, is if that's all connected together. You can't use it like you can the short gun, which I haven't had any issues with this setup, haven't had any leaks or anything like that. It works fine, but I do definitely prefer to be able to just use the short gun by itself. That's a very, very nice option to have. Again, this is the 40-degree nozzle that I recommend. You just pop it in your quick connect on either unit, and you're good to go. You can attach your foam cannon to either here or here, or what I like to do on the MTM, from the one time I've used it, I will typically use my foam cannon with the short gun. It's just easier on your arms. It's easier for muscle fatigue and things like that. This unit as a whole is easier for muscle fatigue. Again, it feels heavier at first, and it definitely is heavier, but when this is under load, you're not going to notice the weight at all. It is super smooth when it's under load and you're using it. Feels super smooth. Again, the bent angle makes it much easier to use for roofs and wheel wells and things like that. Swivel is very nice. All these things combined, it is a very, very nice, high quality unit. It is definitely worth the money. And this one, again, mostly plastic. Trigger's not as good. The fitting is fine. I haven't had any issues with that. The coupler is really fine. Obviously, it's got some use on it, so it's not as smooth as it used to be. But the MTM is definitely higher quality, and it's much easier to use. I mean, I was wondering for a long time, is it really worth it to upgrade to one of these guns that everybody in the pressure washer market is talking about? All the detailers are using the higher end MTMs, and there's a whole bunch of models out there very, very similar to this one, that are the higher quality ones that are up around $100 or more. And I can tell you for a fact, now that I've used both of these units, it is definitely worth upgrading. Now, if you don't use it all the time, you're probably not going to really need to upgrade, right? But we're going to get into all that with the final thoughts. But I just wanted to show you guys the units here and compare them. Again, there's really not a need to compare the performance, because that's really, you're going to get the same performance if it's the same pressure washer, the same gallons per minute, and the same PSI. The performance really isn't all that different. The MTM is just much easier to use. I like that I can use the short gun. I like that it has the swivel, and when it's under load, it feels a lot lighter than you would think it would when you're lifting it right out of the box. So the MTM is just easier to use. It's a more pleasant experience across the board. The Ryobi gets the job done, but I think that you can really feel the quality when you're using the MTM. Yeah, I mean, I've used both. Again, performance-wise, the water that comes out of it is pretty much the same. It's just the bent angle that makes it nicer to use. Like we talked about, it's the swivel. It's the ability to use this by itself. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't have any of those. Of course, you can put a swivel. You can get a swivel quick connect adapter to put on here if you want to. So take that as you will. But I just like that you can use this by itself, and it's a much easier unit to use. It's much more fun to use, and I just enjoy using it more than I enjoy using the Ryobi unit. So there is our full in-depth comparison. Again, price wise, you're looking at $140 for the set with the MTM SGS 28 swivel gun and the 20-inch bent lance. You're going to be looking at $140. And for a gun like this, you can find one online anywhere between 25 and 45 bucks, depending on where you go. But that is our full in-depth comparison of the two. And if I could do this with one hand here, you can see how easy it is to disconnect. I mean, the coupler quick connect's super easy to work with. Obviously, it's a little bit harder to do when I'm filming, but super easy gun to work with. And yeah, I like this one a lot better than I like the Ryobi. We're going to get into my final thoughts. I'm going to let you guys know if it's worth spending the extra money, because these are very expensive. So we're going to get into my final thoughts, and I'm going to let you guys know what I think about that. So final thoughts on the comparison between the MTM SGS 28 unit and the stock Ryobi unit. Is it worth upgrading? Is it worth spending all that extra money? It depends on what your use is, guys. I mean, it depends on how often you're using it. Are you running a business? If you're running a business, I would definitely say that it is worth upgrading once you have the money. You don't need to throw a ton of money at that type of thing right away. You can go ahead and use the Ryobi ones, use the stock wand for as long as you want until you save up that money to buy the upgraded unit. You don't need to buy it right away, but it is something I would strongly recommend upgrading to at some point. If you're running a business, or even if you're a weekend warrior and enthusiast, it's an upgrade that's worth it in the long run. You don't need to rush. You don't need to throw your paycheck at it right away. You could save up for it and get it later down the line. It's not a huge deal. Again, the performance is mostly going to depend on the unit itself, the pressure washer itself, your gallons per minute, and your PSI. So you're not really going to get a different performance out of it. You're just going to get higher quality, and you're going to get, stuff like the bent lance is cool and the swivel gun's cool. Again, you can upgrade some wands to have those types of things with it, but again, you're getting that higher quality with something like an MTM or a Mosmatic gun. Those ones are very popular as well. I think the Mosmatic setup that is very similar to this one on cleangarage.com, I believe that one was about $180 whereas this one was $140. So you can compare prices and find one that fits your budget a little bit more. But I think it's definitely worth upgrading to at some point. Again, you don't need a rush. You can use the Ryobi one for as long as you want, as long as it works for you. Find what works for you. But I definitely recommend upgrading at some point because it's easier to use. There's less headaches, and it's just more enjoyable when you have higher quality tools. So that's my final thoughts on that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any feedback, let me know in the comments what tools and accessories you like to use. If there's anything you'd like me to review in the future, let me know. Make sure to follow me on social media and all that. I'll link all that in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one.